Hi, it's KCCK's Culture Crawl. I'm Dennis Green, and my guests today are from Eulenspiegel Puppets in the puppet capital of Iowa, West Liberty. Monica Leo, who's been on the show many times. Monica, welcome.
Hello. It's good to be
And
here.
Stephanie Vallez, the other half of Eulenspiegel. Stephanie, nice to have you.
Thanks for having me.
Eulenspiegel celebrates 50 years.
That's right. Some people just don't know when to quit, do they?
Well, Monica, you and I have talked about the history of Eulenspiegel on many occasions, but this is the first time I've had the pleasure of having Stephanie on the show.
Right.
And even though you are not in no way new to Eulenspiegel, you've been a part of this for a long time, Stephanie. But since you are, by Monica and my standards, new-ish, tell me a little bit about how you first got interested and then become a part of Eulenspiegel.
That was a marvelous, happy accident. We had a mutual friend, and I was doing craft shows at the time. I was making a lot of dolls and miniatures, and carrying them around in large boxes and filling my car and hauling thing. It was a very schleppy sort of activity. And there was an opportunity to have my craft things displayed here at the Puppet Theater for a local event that we were doing. And so that's kind of how we met and discovered that we had things in common. And then I became the outreach director here for a little while because, again, the mutual friend that we had just thought that would be a good idea. I was working for the newspaper at the time, so I kind of knew everybody in town. So it just sort of made sense to put me in that position. Weirdly, I don't think I did very well at that job. And our current outreach director is a lot better. But then there was this moment I'd been here for maybe 6 months or so, and we were going to have to cancel a performance that we had already scheduled and advertised. And I was like, oh no, this is terrible. Can you just teach me something real quick? And turned out she could. She could teach me something real quick. I had a lot of performance experience already just from doing dance and music my whole life. And then, the arts and crafts side of things, it just sort of all fell together. I studied French and Spanish by going through like the literature and storytelling track. So it just kind of everything I had ever done made perfect sense in this job.
And what happened to me after Stephanie did that show, the reason I couldn't do it is that my husband and I were going to Mexico for Christmas. And when I got back, people stopped me and said, "Who's that new puppeteer you've got working? She's great."
And now, what is it? Almost 7 years later,
Yeah.
here you are.
Mm-hmm. Yep, and I'm having a blast. We've got so many shows that we can do. I've learned so many things and so many lines, so many songs.
Yeah, we have some shows that we do together, and then we each have solo shows that we do alone, and we each have a show with a musician, and
Well, coming up, you are doing a Halloween and Day of the Dead celebration that's going to involve the entire community.
We
and
hope.
I think most,
we want as many people as possible involved in it.
I think most people are probably in our area aware that West Liberty is really has really become an immigrant community over the last couple of decades, and so working Day of the Dead into kind of the traditional Midwestern Halloween celebration makes perfect sense for anybody, but in particular there in your community.
Absolutely. And my husband and I used to go to Mexico frequently, and had went to Oaxaca for Day of the Dead a few times. And the last time we did that, I noticed that the kids down there, a lot of them were carrying around those plastic pumpkins and essentially trick-or-treating. And I thought, oops, Halloween has moved south and Day of the Dead has moved north. That's what initially gave me the idea for this.
So the activities begin with some kind of clinics and classes where you're going to invite people in to make some stuff and participate in the shows that are going to happen. So explain the timeline to me.
Well, we've been talking through some local ghost stories or regional ghost stories and have some ideas for that. We've been brainstorming ideas. We are planning on developing 1 or 2 not terribly long shows, and then inviting anybody that wants to help us make shadow puppets for them, because we think shadow puppetry is the right medium for Halloween. And then if anybody wants to take off and do one on their own, they're welcome to do that. And
tell me about shadow puppetry.
Oh, shadow puppets are called that because what you see when you look at them is not really the puppet, it's the shadow of the puppet on the screen. They're basically silhouettes that you cut out and put rods on, and you can make them out of several parts so that they can move. And then you darken the lights, put a light behind a screen, like a screen made out of cloth or out of, we actually favor shower curtain liners because they disperse the light better. And then you work the puppet back there. You don't see the puppeteer, and you don't see anything but the puppet moving and maybe a little hint of the rods that are on the puppet. But and you can add colors to them by adding colored acetate. You can add fabrics. You can put, they look good with feathers on them. Anything that creates a shadow can become a shadow puppet.
Another part of this that you mentioned just a minute ago is you're also incorporating some local ghost stories
Right.
and spooky stories. So without spoiling, without spoiling the show too much, what has your research turned up in terms of ghost stories in the West Liberty area?
Well, Chris, our outreach director, has been working on an idea because that developed from the Black Angel in Iowa City in the cemetery. And then in Muscatine, there's a cemetery with a Blue Angel. And so he's been researching whatever legends are surround the Black Angel and the Blue Angel, some of them pretty spooky. One of the angels is missing a hand, and legend has it that that hand used to hold a rose, and if it held a rose, when you looked, didn't always hold a rose, but if you looked at her and she had a rose, that meant that you were going to die soon. And rumor has it that hand is gone because somebody got mad and cut it off. Now, I have no idea if there's any truth to that or not. And of course, there are numerous legends about the Black Angel. And then Stephanie's working on something very local.
Yeah, my ancestors were some of the town's founders here in West Liberty, the Keith family, and my great grandfather used to sit on a bench downtown that they called the Liar's Bench, and there was just a few old men that sat there gossiping. And so we have a couple of, just family stories about lies that they may or may not have told on the Liar's Bench. And so I've started this little shadow series really called Tall Tales from the Liar's Bench. And the first one is going to be about, a fire and a death that happened in town. Some of the stories are entirely true, and some of them we have no idea. Some of them are part true, and we can't remember who they even were about. Just there's so many little lies from the Liar's Bench that were just too much fun. And local legends are always a delight anyway. So.
And we're hoping that maybe somebody will pop up locally and know one.
Yeah, give me more stories.
And help us turn it into a show or turn it into a show themselves, whatever, So we're hoping for some local, really local ghost stories too. We do know a local young man who, when he was a baby, it was clear that he saw a ghost in his house. But
Yep.
There are things like that. The other part of what we're doing is that we are going to build a Day of the Dead altar in our little downtown pocket park, Rendezvous Park. There's a stage there that we frequently use to do shows and that we present musicians on in the summer and stuff. And we're going to build an altar there and cover it with a canopy, in case it rains. And then we're going to invite anybody in town that wants to include their family on the altar to put family pictures or objects or whatever they want on it. And of course, we're going to put our deceased Eulenspiegel members on it because unfortunately we have several.
And you stay at it long enough, you're bound to lose a few.
Yeah, someday I'll be on that altar, right?
No hurry there. Take your time.
And then, so your main, show / celebration is October 30th, but then you're inviting people to come in on the 23rd and the 24th. Yeah, is that how that works?
23rd and the 24th earmarked, and then we're leaving it open. We're leaving the couple days before the show open for rehearsals or for more building, just depending on who gets involved and what their time schedules are like.
Now, we have focused a little bit on the local West Liberty portion of Eastern Iowa in talking about this, but if somebody wants to come from Mount Vernon, Iowa City,
welcome.
Cedar Rapids,
More the merrier.
Yes.
And shadow puppets, I won't say they're easy to make. You have to be able to draw. And you have to be able to cut. You have to have some skills, but they are a lot faster to make than a lot of puppets. There's no drying time. There's no
sewing,
painting, no sewing. Basically drawing and cutting and assembling.
Eulenspiegel Puppets is celebrating Day of the Dead and Halloween with open studio for you to come in and create your own show on October 23rd and 24th. And then the Day of the Dead altar, and then the main show where all this is going to take place will be on the 30th, all right there at your studio.
Yes, and on the 30th, we'll also have sugar skulls that people can decorate and take home.
If people want more information about any of these activities or Eulenspiegel in general, where can they visit you on the web?
They can visit us at www.puppetspuppets.com. They can look at our Facebook page. They can also call us up at 319-627-2487. We are among the few who still like to talk on the phone.
Yes, we talk about that here too. Yeah, you can email us, but we'd also love to actually talk to you. Well, it's always fun to get in touch and find out what's going on with Eulenspiegel, which has just been such a rich part of our culture for 50 years here in Eastern Iowa. So I wish you the best of luck with creating this new show with members of the community, and then having it up through the Day of the Dead activities. And let's talk again soon and tell us more about what's coming up at Eulenspiegel.
I put in one more little thing here. This Thursday, we're going to have, we over the year, since last January, we have periodically, we've been milking our 50th birthday. And we've done periodic birthday happy hours. We're going to do one this Thursday. It's from 4:30 to 6. People can come over and have champagne and snacks, and we'll pull down our big screen and show a vintage Eulenspiegel video. I think we'll probably show the 2000 version of Sal Fink, the Mississippi Screamer, which also included music by both Ron Hillis and Guy Drollinger. And included, of course, you get to see our late puppeteer, Terry Jean Breitbach. So come and see Terry Jean and Guy and Ron and me.
So that's Thursday the 17th.
That'll be Thursday the 7th at 4:30. And,
Okay.
Some champagne and wish us happy birthday.
Great. Excellent. Well, like I said, it's always a pleasure to talk to you and find out what's going on with Eulenspiegel. Again, puppetspuppets.com if you'd like more information, and have a spooky time.
Thanks a lot, Dennis.
You can hear the Culture Crawl live on the radio most weekdays at 10:30, on demand at kcck.org/culture, or subscribe using your favorite podcast player. Watch our videos on the KCCK Facebook and YouTube channels. Our producer is Lydia Kilgore. The Culture Crawl theme is composed by Vivian Shanley. I'm Dennis Green, and I'll talk to you later.